The F-22 Raptor was the most dominant fighter ever built, and the Air Force produced fewer than 200. On March 21, 2025, Boeing received the contract to replace it. The new aircraft is the F-47. But what makes America's most powerful fighter scarier than anyone expected isn't the jet itself, it's what it commands. And that story begins where U.S. air dominance quietly started to crack. On March 21, 2025, the Department of the Air Force issued a press release that broke years of silence. Boeing had been awarded a cost-plus contract worth nearly $20 billion to lead the engineering and manufacturing development phase for the next generation air dominance fighter. The program, long known only by a shadowy placeholder, now had a name: F-47. With that announcement, the Air Force shifted the NGAD effort from the world of classified prototypes into a funded, accountable acquisition, opening the door to public scrutiny and congressional oversight. The contract authorized Boeing to design, build, and deliver the first production-ready airframes, while integrating a new generation of stealth, sensor fusion, and manned-unmanned teaming. The official statement described the F-47 as the centerpiece of a broader family of systems, not just a jet, but a networked combat architecture, including autonomous, loyal wingman drones. The Air Force emphasized that this award was not routine. It followed a decisive internal review in late 2024, which weighed the results of a classified test flight against budget risks that nearly paused the program. Only after that review did the service commit to full-scale development, citing both technical readiness and the urgent need to replace the aging F-22 fleet. General David Alvin, Chief of Staff, called the F-47 more adaptable to future threats and built to dominate the most capable peer adversary, highlighting its lower life cycle cost and greater sustainability compared to previous elite fighters. The press release stressed that the contract's scope included not just the jet itself, but the integration of advanced artificial intelligence-driven sensors and collaborative combat aircraft. By awarding the contract, the Air Force ended the era of secrecy and signaled a new approach to air dominance, one defined by range, survivability, adaptability, and the ability to command a team, not just fly alone. In the aftermath of Vietnam, the U.S. Air Force set out to secure the skies with a fighter that could guarantee air superiority, no matter the adversary. The F-15 Eagle entered service in 1974, shaped by a doctrine that demanded speed, altitude, and reach. It was built to outfly and outfight the Soviet MiG-23s and Su-27s, relying on raw thrust, powerful radar, and long-range missiles. The Eagle's mission was clear: achieve and hold control of the air, denying the enemy any hope of dominance. At the heart of the F-15's doctrine was the belief that the first to see, the first to shoot, would win. Its AN/APG-63 radar could track targets at distances that forced opponents into a defensive posture before they even knew the Eagle was there. The introduction of the AIM-120 AMRAAM missile in the late 1980s stretched the engagement envelope to nearly 100 kilometers, allowing pilots to strike beyond visual range and still maintain the initiative. Every aspect of the F-15's design, twin engines, high thrust-to-weight ratio, and unmatched climb rate, served this single goal: to control the fight from a position of advantage. The F-15's combat record cemented its reputation. In the Gulf War, it delivered a kill ratio that reinforced the Air Force's faith in its doctrine. The Eagle became more than a machine. It was a symbol of American air dominance, a benchmark for any future fighter to surpass. Its legacy defined what it meant to rule the skies, setting a standard that would shape every air superiority program that followed. When the F-22 Raptor entered service in 2005, it was the embodiment of next-generation air dominance. Its radar-evading shape, supercruise engines, and advanced avionics made it nearly untouchable in the skies. The Raptor could detect and engage threats before being seen, giving the United States a clear edge against any adversary. For a time, this leap in stealth technology seemed unassailable, but the promise of the F-22 was never fully realized. Production ended in 2012 after just 187 operational jets, far short of the numbers once envisioned. The reasons were complex: rising costs, shifting priorities after the Cold War, and the belief that the Raptor's superiority would remain uncontested for decades. As a result, the Air Force was left with a small, elite fleet that could not be easily expanded or replaced. Over the next decade, the limitations became harder to ignore. The F-22's stealth and sensor fusion set the standard, but its upgrade path was narrow. The closed architecture made it difficult to integrate new sensors, weapons, or digital tools at the pace modern threats demanded. Meanwhile, adversaries invested in advanced radar networks, electronic warfare, and long-range missiles that chipped away at the Raptor's original advantages. The fleet's average age crept upward, and sustainment costs rose as parts became scarce. By the early 2020s, the Air Force faced a stark reality: stealth alone could not guarantee dominance. With only a handful of F-22s available for global commitments and no production line to turn to, the service risked falling behind in a world where threats were evolving faster than legacy platforms could adapt. The F-22 remained a powerful symbol, but it had become a warning: air superiority could not rest on a small, aging fleet, no matter how advanced its design. The search for a successor was no longer optional. It was an urgent necessity. The F-47 stands at the center of what the Air Force now calls a true sixth-generation system, a family of platforms, not just a single jet. In public statements, General David Alvin describes the F-47 as more than a replacement for the F-22. It is designed to operate as the command node in a network of manned and unmanned aircraft, redefining what air dominance means for the decades ahead. The official sixth-generation label rests on several pillars: advanced stealth, AI-driven sensor fusion, and the ability to direct a team of autonomous drones known as Collaborative Combat Aircraft, CCAS. Two CCA prototypes, the YFQ-42A and the YFQ-44A, are already in development. The YFQ-42A is a stealthy, loyal wingman built to fly alongside the F-47 and carry out tasks ranging from electronic attack to air missile delivery. The larger YFQ-44A brings modular payloads for strike or intelligence missions, operating with a level of autonomy that allows the F-47 pilot to act as a mission commander mid-flight. All of these platforms share data over the Advanced Tactical Network, ATN-6G, a secure high-bandwidth mesh that lets the F-47 orchestrate the fight across a distributed battle space. The Air Force stresses that this system of systems approach is not a theoretical ambition, but a practical answer to the limitations exposed by past generations. By blending manned and unmanned assets, the F-47's architecture promises not only greater survivability and reach, but also a force that can adapt rapidly to new threats. In this model, the jet is less a lone warrior and more the nerve center of a flexible, resilient combat team. The Air Force's projection of a combat radius exceeding 1,000 nautical miles for the F-47 is rooted in a carefully managed mission profile, high-altitude cruise, minimal external stores, and conformal fuel tanks that add up to 8,000 pounds of fuel without compromising stealth. These tanks, integrated into the airframe, avoid the radar signature of traditional drop tanks. The adaptive cycle engine, capable of switching between high thrust and fuel-saving modes, is central to this claim. Official figures cite a 30% improvement in specific fuel consumption during cruise over legacy fighters, offering the prospect of deeper strikes and longer patrols without constant tanker support. Supportability is engineered into the F-47's DNA. Modular line-replaceable units allow for rapid swaps on the flight line, reducing downtime and dependence on depot maintenance. Predictive maintenance, driven by digital twin models, targets availability above 80%, well above the F-22's recent record. The Air Force calls this approach built to adapt, promising forward basing with fewer personnel. Yet, as the Congressional Research Service cautions, these numbers reflect ideal scenarios, and real-world missions will reveal the true limits. Congressional scrutiny intensified in early 2024 when the Air Force's internal review raised the possibility of freezing the Next Generation Air Dominance program over cost concerns and technical risk. The Government Accountability Office and the Congressional Research Service both weighed in, warning that without a clear commitment, the program risked repeating the F-22's fate, an elite but undersized fleet unable to meet future demands. Lawmakers pressed for evidence that the F-47 could deliver on its promise: longer range, lower support needs, and genuine adaptability. The classified 2024 test flight became the deciding factor, convincing both oversight bodies and senior defense officials that the design was ready to move forward. The fiscal year 2026 defense budget responded with a decisive funding boost. More than $3.5 billion was allocated for F-47 development and collaborative combat aircraft integration, signaling a shift in priorities. This outpaced even the F-35 in new investment, tying the Air Force's future force structure to the F-47 and its networked team. Planners now project initial operational capability in the early 2030s, with the F-47 forming the backbone of a distributed mix of manned and unmanned aircraft. The program's survival wasn't just about a new jet. It was about redefining air dominance for an era where adaptability, resilience, and teamwork outweigh sheer numbers or raw performance. What matters now is not the jet's silhouette, but the strategy it signals. The Air Force calls the F-47 its first true sixth-generation fighter, designed for longer ranges, unpredictable threats, and networked warfare. It is not just a new aircraft, it is a blueprint for how air dominance will be redefined. What's your take?